All we need is a place to be and a few good friends for some company. If you'd like to stay, you don't have to leave. We'll leave the lights on and the door unlocked. If you drop on by, you don't have to knock. We're happy to share whatever we've got.
Hi, I'm Clay, and this is Yarn About You, a podcast where I get to chat with people I know and love, as well as people I'd just like to meet and hear their story. Yarn About You would like to pay respect to the traditional owners of the land in which this podcast is recorded, and acknowledge the elders, past, present and emerging, for their contribution and wealth of knowledge that they pass on from generation to generation. Today's guest is Michael Loney, a versatile Australian actor of film, television and theatre, whose career has seen him travel the world. His time in the UK included working on classic television shows like Robin of Sherwood, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Howard's Way, Sorry, with the legendary Ronnie Corbett from the two Ronnies, and also a stint on the epic mother of all soap operas, Coronation Street. Since returning home to Perth, Western Australia, Michael's appeared in a multitude of films, television shows and theatre productions, as well as playing a significant role behind the scenes, particularly with his work as Vice Chair with the Artist Relief Fund WA, a registered charity that provides critical financial assistance to entertainment professionals, including actors, creatives and crew who experience a crisis or emergency. I had the absolute pleasure of reconnecting with Michael Loney earlier this year for a chat. I hope you enjoy our yarn. Michael Loney, welcome to Yarn About You.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to see you again. It's been, a couple of weeks?
Would you say 34 years?
34 years. Yeah, so I'm a little bit grey. I apologise for that.
Well, I'm white-haired now. What are you talking about?
So I always start my podcast with the same question.
Sure.
We want to know where you came from. So tell me about your parents.
Right, okay. Well, they're both gone now. Dad would be 108 this year.
Wow.
Mum would be 104 this year. Her name was Moretta. She was daughter of Irish from Donegal, and so Moretta is Irish for Margaret Mary.
That's a beautiful name. I don't think I've ever heard of Moretta.
Mauretta,
okay.
Moretta. And Dad was Jack, both born here in WA, in Western Australia. Dad was born in Bunbury, but raised at Israelite Bay at the telegraph station. And his father was a telegraphist. And then Israelite Bay is about 150 k's east of Esperance, so in the middle of nowhere. And this is the 1920s, because he was born in 1917. And so they were the only people, well, he was there with his two brothers and sister, and his mum and dad, obviously, and the only kids to play with were the Aboriginal kids, the Daimer family. And because old Heinrich Daimer, the German man who jumped ship during the First World War, and he married Topsy, a Aboriginal lady, and they were my dad's best friends, the Daimers.
Wow.
And but Mum was born in Geraldton, and her father had come over here following an uncle who'd come to Western Australia in the 1890s following gold, and he brought all his nieces and nephews out from Donegal. So Mum grew up with her parents running the Yelgu Hotel and later the Mount Magnet Hotel, with surrounded by Irish. Everyone was from Donegal, all her cousins, everyone. Mum grew up as if she was Irish. She looked Irish, red-haired, blue-eyed, you know. But, so that's it. On Dad's side, they go back to 1829 to the first white settlers of the Swan River colony as it was then. So there's a lot of very deep roots in WA.
Yeah, absolutely. So were you the only child, or do you have brothers and sisters?
I was number 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, they didn't have television back then?
No, well, see, Dad was a teacher. During the war, he was a bomber navigator. And after the war, Mum and Dad met, and he'd become a teacher. And he was up in the hills of Perth, around Carrigal and Carmel there. And they had a 2-room shack, no water, it was just a dunny up the back, and they had 3 kids in there by the time they left there. And, in a 2-room shack with nothing at all. And so it would have been very hard. But yeah, they lost the second child, unfortunately. He just died. We don't know why. He just died. But and then so I was the 5th born of 6, and Peter, my youngest one, is the younger brother. Came along 4 years after me.
Mm-hmm. So who's the favourite?
Who's a favourite? Who's a favourite? Probably John, the eldest. He's always been he's the steady one in the family, yes.
So are you the only creative in the family?
No. John was a public servant. Well, a bit more than that, really. He was a Australian Trade Commissioner to Italy for a while, and to Egypt, to Cairo. And then he came back and he was head of West Australian trade to Eastern Australia. But so he's he's done very well. But he's now 77 this year. And then there's Anne-Marie, who's a psychologist. She was head psychologist for the Department of Communities for many, many years, but she's now trying to retire, but psychologists are in such great demand that they can't. Damien was a manager of a company, a construction company, and then there's me. But there's Peter, the younger one. He was head of lighting for Home and Away for years and years and years, from when it first started in Sydney years ago. So he moved to Sydney from Perth about the early 80s. So he's still there, married with children over there.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one who's not in Perth.
Oh, okay. Ah.
Everyone's here.
So when did you get bitten by the creative bug? When's your first memory of...
Well, I went to what is now Curtin University after I left school, and I was going to be a journalist. But I wasn't too keen on some of the people who were teaching journalism there. And because Curtin, it was then called the Western Australian Institute of Technology, WAIT, but they're now called Curtin. And this is in the mid-70s, 75. And then one of the electives I did was theatre arts, because this is before WAPA. There was no WAPA here. And so anyone who wanted to be an actor went to WAIT, as it was. So I started doing a few plays there, and people were very encouraging. And then one of them said, "You should go to drama school." I said, "Where?" I said, "Well," this man said, "Well, I went to the Bristol Old Vic in England." I said, "Well, I'll go there then," not knowing, it's not easy to get into. But luckily, I won a Rotary scholarship. And with Rotary, you have to study outside your home country. Yeah. So it was all paid for by Rotary. So I was mighty lucky. Wow. So that's 1980 to 82. So 80, 81, 82, I was at the Bristol Old Vic. And then I just worked as an actor until the end of 88.
Because that was one of my biggest questions for you. How did you end up in England?
Yeah, going to drama school.
Fantastic. So how long were you in drama school there? Was it
how long? 80, 81, 82.
Okay.
Yeah. And so graduated in 82 and luckily got work on various things. I remember one of the very first jobs I did was just a one-off episode with Ronnie Corbett in Sorry. I played his doctor in Sorry, and that was great fun, except it was recorded live at the BBC Centre, and that is terrifying, I can tell you. And then I did, what did I do after that? Oh, bits and pieces. Did Sherlock Holmes, with Jeremy Brett playing the famous Sherlock Holmes, and I had to play the young girl's mystery lover, who was a mystery person on the head. And it was Natasha Richardson's first job as the young girl. And who else was in it? Joss Ackland, who was the original Perron in Evita. And
wow.
So a lot of really great people in it. We just spent a couple of weeks in the Lake District in England filming that. Then I did a bit on Tenko, the BBC series Tenko. Then Coronation Street, on and off, 1986, 87. And then the BBC series Howard's Way. I was on that all of 88. And then I came back and Kathy and I got married within about 2 months of me getting back, which is the beginning of 89.
So did you meet Kathy over there? Or?
Oh, no, when I hadn't come back to Perth for 5 years because of work and couldn't afford it and all that sort of thing. But when I did come back, which was 86, I think it was, I did a play at His Majesty's Death Trap, the thriller, with Lewis Collins from Bodie and Doyle, the professionals.
Oh, okay.
And then I met Kathy then, and then met her again at the end of 88, and we got married, in the beginning of 88, and we got married at the beginning of 89.
Yeah.
And then our son Paddy was born in 1990, and Meg was born in 92, and then Meg has just had her third child. So there you go, I've got 3 grandchildren.
Wow. So if we go back to the UK, what's it like to be, somebody from WA who's ended up in London, all of a sudden on something like an institution like Coronation Street, or meeting Ronnie Corbett, or it must have been surreal.
Well, it was. I remember one episode of Coronation Street. I had to open it on the opening credits, and of course, being from WA, I didn't know much about anything really, and I was standing there, and they said, "Right, action," and the music, the famous music from Coronation Street started, and I thought, I'm opening an episode of Coronation Street? What the hell? And then it was funny, on the very first day, the very first time that the episode I was in went out on air, one of the stars said to me, "Have you ever been in anything like this?" And I said, nothing at all. And they said, "Will you wait till you walk out your front door tomorrow?" And I said, "Why?" They said, "You just wait." And it's true. 17 million people watched each episode.
Wow.
And wherever you went, everyone was looking at you. And I couldn't understand it,
So when you put that in perspective, at the time, that would have been close to the population of Australia who were watching that.
Every episode.
Wow.
I remember going in, after some of my mates came around one night to watch it with me on TV, one of the episodes. And they said, "Oh, let's go to the pub afterwards." And this is about 8 o'clock. It was on, I think at 7:30 was on, and 8 o'clock we went to the pub. And walked in the door and the pub went silent because they'd all seen it as well and all went to the pub afterwards as well.
Wow.
And everyone just went silent. And I thought, this is a really powerful show.
Yeah.
It is a massive, massive thing. It's sort of bigger than just a show. It really, certainly then, I don't know about now, but then it was something that everyone watched. It was part of the culture.
It's an institution.
It really was.
It's been going for how many years? Like decades and decades and decades.
It's 1960.
Yeah.
And there was one person in it, one actor, William Roach, who was in it and is still in it today from 1960, the very first episode.
Wow.
Oh, no, it was fascinating sitting down and talking to some of the stars because, these are massive stars and, it was a privilege, I can tell you.
I can imagine. My mother is the biggest Corrie fan. Every night, you can't talk to her when she's watching television.
Still.
So I'll stay at her place 1 or 2 nights a week and have to sit and watch Corrie and EastEnders and the other one.
Emmerdale.
Emmerdale, yes, the 3 of them.
It was interesting. When I was filming one episode of Coronation Street, it must have been 86, I think it was, I think her name's Julia Smith, who created EastEnders, came to speak to Bill Podmore, who was one of the creators of Coronation Street and producing it still then, and said, "Listen, I'm going to come and watch what you do with Coronation Street because we're going to pinch all your ideas. We are. So just let us watch." And he went, "Yeah, we know that." Because when you think about it, every single sort of soap opera is modelled on Coronation Street. The pub, the gossipy lady, the beauty, and the all those characters. Everyone has that to some degree, and they're all modelled on Coronation Street.
Well, I was talking to Andrew Mercado in one of my other podcasts not long ago, and he was talking about even number 96 here in Australia being modelled on
it would have been
Coronation Street.
Yeah.
In the UK.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing, and to film on the street itself, which is a set, of course, is fascinating. I can remember one morning, it was Manchester, of course, and it was -14, and the makeup lady was sitting on my feet to keep them warm.
Wow.
While I was shooting, it was obviously a tight shot.
Yeah.
It was so cold, I couldn't even talk.
Wow.
Trying to get lines out. It was just freezing cold.
It's just, I mean, I did not quite like yours. I did one episode of A Country Practice when it was still at Channel 7 with, Esme and Bob Hatfield and all the originals.
Joan Sidney.
And, Joan, no, I think Joan Sidney had left by then. But yeah, it's just incredible when you're on a set and you think, wow, I've been watching this for years, and you grow up on it. But, Coronation Street would be incredible.
Oh, yeah. Quite amazing. And I hadn't, because being from WA, I'd never seen it. And even in England, I didn't watch it because I was at drama school. I didn't even have a TV. And so I'd never really watched it. And all of a sudden you're meeting these people and you think, hang on, I do know your face because I've seen it everywhere on the newspapers or whatever. But it is, well, as you said, institution. It's massive.
Yeah, because it's funny, shows these days, it's a lot harder to get ratings because there's just so much out there. But Coronation Street and EastEnders, they've still got the numbers. They've still got the people that watch it. Everything else is kind of left in the dark. So it's a great training ground for actors and for anybody, and must be, it's so good when I was in England about 1.5 years ago to see how rich and busy the industry is, even from the live theatre point of view. And, with the population, you can do that. It's so sad when you come to places like Perth or Sydney, where I am on the Central Coast, where you can't fill a room. But, it was so wonderful to go and see, the other side of the world, how it's still really rich and people do go out and people do.
Well, of course, in London in particular, the tourist trade does help a lot to keep the theatres full. I know a lot of people who live in England can't afford to go to a lot of the theatre now, especially West End, because it's just too expensive for them. But the tourists keep it going, whereas we don't have that level of tourism here in Perth. So it is hard. And as you say, there's so much more to do. Whereas when I first started in Perth in the 70s, the Playhouse was full every night. And so was the Hole in the Wall Theatre. And they were, it was buzzing. And Perth was then one of the strongest theatre towns. And it had because of people like Edgar Metcalf, they had, who really started English Rep, monthly Rep here. And it was full, absolutely full every night.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to work with Edgar in the second series of Clown Around.
Of course, yeah.
So he was an amazing man.
Oh, he was. He was the backbone of Perth Theatre for many, many years, and much lamented.
No, I know how strong the theatre side was here. Yeah. And yesterday I did the pod at His Majesty's and got a tour backstage, which was just incredible.
Beautiful theatre, isn't
it? The work that Ivan King is doing there with restoring, the history and pulling everything together is incredible.
I know.
I think it's so important.
Yeah. Well, I'm just... because I'm vice chair of the Actors Benevolent Fund here, which is now called Artists Relief here in WA. And every year for the last 20-odd years, 25 years or more, I've been the one to do the valets to honour and farewell people from the profession who've died over the previous year. And I was talking about John Harper Nelson, who was a former newsreader and big promoter of theatre here. He died at aged 100. And I was saying that he was one of the ones who led was on the committee to save His Majesty's from demolition. And when I said that, these young dancers and opera singers who were in the audience who work at His Majesty's. I could hear them go, "What? What do you mean demolition of His Majesty's?" And I said, "None of you know that it was actually going to be demolished. They actually had drawn up the plans for a high-rise to be on the site, and the demolition team had been contracted." And John Harper Nelson and a few others went to the then Premier, Sir Charles Court, and said, "You can't let this magnificent Edwardian theatre go." And he said, apparently Sir Charles Court said something like, "What are you talking about?" They said, "His Majesty's is going to be demolished." And he said, "Oh, my dead body." Because he was a cornet player and he'd started in the orchestra at His Majesty's. He picked up his phone apparently. He said, "I've just heard this news, stop it right now." But without the intervention of those people, it would have gone.
Wow, that's incredible. Because so many are, the Playhouse is gone. Yeah.
Yes, well, I was in the very last play at the Playhouse.
Oh, what was it?
It was actually a pantomime called Puss in Boots,
Okay.
and I played the dame, Queenie Cupcake. But because I was the lead of that show, I was given the honour of saying the last words on the stage.
Oh. And what were the words?
It's an ode to a theatre. It's a traditional ode to farewell a theatre on its last performance. I can't remember what the words are now, but you farewell the theatre, and the lead actor of that last show says the last words, then the curtain comes down.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was very sad to see that go, but interesting. A few weeks later, Ian Boas, who was the head tech at the time and the only person still employed at the theatre to close it, rang me in tears and said, "All the signage is in a bin. All the stalls, signs, all the, theatre sold out and, house full signs and all these old signs from the 50s, 60s, 70s, they're all in the bin." And so we went around there and got them all.
Oh, beautiful. Wow.
Saved them all.
And the Hole in the Wall is another one that's gone?
Yes, I was in the last show of The Hole in the Wall as well. I closed theatres, yeah.
You're the albatross.
I was the last show of the Effie Crump as well.
Oh, wow.
Yes, The Hole in the Wall, as The Hole in the Wall, then it changed to be the State Theatre Company, which didn't last very long. But then it was, this was when Arnie Niemi was running it at, I can't even remember what the last show was. This is about 91, and then it morphed into the State Theatre, and the name Hole in the Wall went. I was also the last show of the Dirty Dicks, the old-time music hall.
Oh,
Closed
okay.
that one as well. So, yes, I closed theatres. But, the Hole in the Wall in Subiaco is a really good theatre. The theatre itself is now called something else now. And,
so it's still a theatre?
Yeah, it's a great
Okay.
little theatre. It's adapted from the old Subiaco Town Hall to be made into a theatre. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, beautiful.
I was lucky enough I spoke to you earlier on about The Popular Mechanicals,
Oh yeah,
a play that I saw with Vivian Garrett, Keith Robinson, Tony Taylor, at the Playhouse. And yeah, I saw it there a couple of times. It was an amazing venue. Loved it.
oh the Playhouse.
Yeah.
The Playhouse was compromised backstage because there was one toilet for men and one toilet for girls, and I remember doing a play there with 47 kids in it, and it was a nightmare, trying to go to the toilet in the interval. But so backstage wasn't great. But the great thing about the Playhouse is the relationship between the performer and the audience there was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a really good theatre from that point of view because it was designed by Harold Krantz, who was one of Perth's top architects, but his wife, Dorothy Krantz, was Perth's top actress at the time. And so Harold and his mate Sol Sankin and two actresses, Nita Pannell and Lily Kavanagh, so two Irish Catholic ladies and two Jewish gentlemen, raised all the money in the Company of Four, as it was known, to build the Playhouse as the People's Theatre. And it really was, it came about because people wanted their own theatre. And so it became the home of professional theatre from about 1956 until they knocked it down in 2010.
Yeah, because it wasn't that long ago, was it? Oh, well, it was now, 15 years.
Yeah.
Gosh. So what was life like in England? So when you first got over there, you were a struggling student.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was lucky to be on a scholarship, I must say. But, no, I worked as a waiter in a restaurant in Bristol, because it was in Bristol, and in Clifton in Bristol. And one summer, the chef, because it was a French restaurant, and they said, listen, you're Australian, you'll do anything, won't you? I said, yeah. They said, because our relief chef hasn't turned up, we're all going on holiday, and you're taking over as the chef. Oh. I said, but I can't cook. They said, well, we'll teach you. And so for 2 weeks, I had to run this French restaurant. And,
wow.
And I tell you what, I was a bag of nerves from, when I got up in the morning till the last person left at night. I thought, what am I doing here? It taught me a lot, I can tell you.
Well, that's a good thing about an actor, is you'll get away with it.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's like when you go to an audition, they say, can you ride a horse? You go, yes, of course I can ride a horse. Yes.
Well, I remember when one night when I was a waiter, not cooking, Julie Walters, the actress, came in and she was filming something called, I can't remember what it was called now, Telephone Exchange or something or other. It was being filmed in Bristol, and she came in with the director and the writer, Ken Campbell. I don't know whether you know Ken Campbell. He's crazy. Sadly died now, but he was eccentric, more than that. He did more than eccentric. Anyway, he called me over and he said, hey, have you got an equity card? And I said, yes. He said, and he wrote on this napkin some lines. He said, you're in the film tomorrow, so come along tomorrow morning and you're going to be in this, all right? And so I did this scene, very short scene, with Julie Walters the next day.
Wow. So, just from being in the right place at the right time?
Well, just because I was with Ken Campbell, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But Julie Walters was looking at him saying, you talking about, Ken? You can't just write another role in for someone on a napkin. And he said, I just have.
Wow, that's spectacular. That's awesome. So when you came back to Australia, you got married. The kids came along not long after that?
Yeah, very soon.
What was life like coming back from London? Obviously you had family, so it was home. It would have been wonderful, but it would have been completely different.
Oh, yeah. But as you know, with your own children, it's busy. Little kids are busy. I mean, I think of my daughter now, Meg, who has a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 18-week-old. She's just in the fog of exhaustion, And that's what it's like with little kids. When you have little kids, the world just exists somehow. And but I was working a lot, because there was a lot of theatre around those days, and so I worked all the time. And then in '93, I think it was, the TV series Ship to Shore came along, and I was in that for on and off. We did that for 3 years, and so then the TV series Minty, which I did with Vivian, and all sorts of things, just work. Voiceovers, I'm still doing voiceovers and that sort of thing. And, we just you tick over somehow.
So what's been if you could look back and say, that was my favourite job, the most fulfilling job, whether it's on stage or screen or anything, what would you pick?
Golly. Look, I've been in A Midsummer Night's Dream 5 times. The first time was 1977 at Waite, Curtin, where I played the young boy, Demetrius. And then I did it, by the last time I did it, I was the old man. So that's how things move on. But I've played Bottom twice, and I love playing Bottom.
Yeah, it's a fun role.
It's one of the great comedic roles. But a play I did for Perth Theatre Company, when was it, 2006? 1997, I think it was. Edward Orby's The Goat, or Who is Sylvia?
Oh, yes.
And that was the most challenging role I think I've ever played, because you've got he's this world-renowned architect. It's his 50th birthday and he's just feted all over the world, and everyone's coming to him because it's his 50th, and they all want to talk to him. And his wife, he adores his wife and loves his son. And then he says to his wife, well, I've met someone. She goes, what do you mean? Her name's Sylvia, but she's a goat, and I'm in love with her.
This is the play that Claudia Carvin did on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I've heard about that.
Oh, it's a knockout play. Edward Orby, who also most famous for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary piece, because Ellen Beecher, the late Ellen Beecher, who produced it, he was asked by Edward Orby's estate. No, Edward Orby was still alive at that point. He wanted to see our photographs before he would agree to our casting. Okay. And Ellen said to his agent, what do you mean he wants to see the photographs? We're in Perth, but let's face it, we're not the centre of the known world. And he said, I want to make sure that I like the look of them. Okay. So we sent the photographs, and he said, yes, I'll agree to them. And so Ellen apparently said something like, well, what would you not have agreed with? He said, if they were not white. Oh. You cannot have African Americans in my plays. And he said, why? He said, it's not about racism. He said, because the plays I write are about what white Americans have done to America. He said, this is what, he said, if you put a black person in my plays, it's not the story I've written. Black people haven't done to America what white people have done. This is what white people are doing to America.
Wow.
And he said, he said, when I'm dead, you can cast whoever you like, but while I'm still alive, you will cast basically WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. That's what you're going to cast, because that is the story I've written.
So challenging. I mean, how was the audience reaction to
the play? Yeah, I've never known so many people walk out of a show, and people walking out screaming. Particularly at the end, when the wife brings on the body of the goat with its throat slit, dripping in blood, and it was a real goat that had been stuffed, obviously, but it looked so real. People screamed and ran out of the theatre. Absolutely, I've never seen anything like it. I remember one woman running out saying, I can't take any more. And the funny thing was, about a few weeks after we finished the run of the show, the producers, Alan Beecher, got this letter from the lawyers of two people who'd been in the audience, a man and a woman, saying, we're suing you because you ruined our marriage.
Why? She wouldn't let him get a goat?
Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe the husband ran off with the goat afterwards. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, and Alan thought, you've come to see a play, and we haven't ruined your marriage. Anyway, nothing happened really, but it was a threat from some lawyer or another.
Gosh, that's amazing. What about talking about your favourite plays? What kind of plays or what sort of shows haven't worked for you? What's something that you really felt, it didn't really hit the mark with the audiences, or maybe with the venue, or chemistry?
There's plenty of those, I'm sure. You tend to try and forget those ones. Well, there's always, you wish, one of the things about, and particularly with TV, why you should never watch it again, is because you always think, why did I do that? Yeah. And you think, what struck me to do that? Why didn't I do this or that or whatever? Whereas with theatre, often, for weeks after a run is finished, the script is running around in your head. You're thinking, of course, that's the way that line should have been said. Or, oh, God, why did I do it why didn't I do it like that? So, it's regrets come along, but, I suppose you learn from the mistakes you make along the way, but as for one I'd really say that was a doozy, can't think.
The thing I love about theatre is that you have a control over the emotion that you put out there. You're responsible for it, whether it's good or bad, but you have a control over that. Where with television or film or whatever it is, you're kind of doing your bit and walking away and then leaving it to other people to edit it, to add music to it,
you're in their hands.
Completely change the feel of it, change the look, the lighting, everything. So basically when you watch a show back that you've done on film or telly, it's completely different to what your vision is.
Yeah, that's why quite often they won't let the actors watch the rushes.
Yeah, I've never watched rushes.
Yeah, and they say, the actors will say, can we do that scene again, please? You know, you can't, no, let's do it again. So if you have every actor asking that, you've had it. But I remember talking about, you're in control as an actor on stage. I remember when I was at drama school, Rudy Shelley was the head of acting at the Bristol Old Vic in the 80s, and he'd been there since 1946, and he was a pretty old man then, and he was there till 1996. But he used to give his lessons on controlling an audience. And one was not crying. And he said he was the biggest name dropper you've ever come across. And it was extraordinary. And he'd say things like, he was from Austria originally. And he'd say, Ducky, look, Edith told me. And we'd all be waiting for him to say, Edith Evans, of course, Dame Edith. And Dame Edith told me that never let the tears fall. Let them come to your eyes, but never let them fall. Because if you cry, the audience won't.
Wow. Yeah,
it was extraordinary. I remember him saying about comedy, he said, Ducky, I'll tell you about the difference between comedy and farce. Comedy is a fat lady walking along the street, slips on the banana skin. Now that's funny. Fat lady walks along the street, slips on a banana skin, breaks her neck. Not funny. Learn how far to go.
True.
And another one was farce. He said, police break into a brothel and they find a rock and roll singer there. Not farce. Police break into a brothel and find an archbishop there. Farce.
True. Very much true.
He said that it's all about status.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and so those sorts of things. But yeah, you as an actor, you are in control of the. If it's a good script, of course, because a bad script changes everything. But yes, you are to a large degree manipulating the audience to think and feel the way that it needs for the story. But, that's one of the joys of acting, is feeling the audience.
Absolutely, and that's great theatre. Any theatre that makes you feel anything, whether it's like The Goat, disgust or happiness or sadness or... I think that's great theatre, no matter what it is. And they're the ones that you walk away and you remember, the feelings.
Yeah.
Things that it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And you talk about a bad script. I think a director has a lot to do with all of that as well.
Well, someone, I can't remember, I don't think it was an American film director who said the director's job, 99% of it is casting, getting the right cast. And because if you get the wrong cast, there's nothing you can do. But also a script, like that's why Shakespeare is so... Well, someone told me that every day of every week of every year there's a Shakespeare play on somewhere in the world.
Yeah, I believe it.
And because the depth of the script, you can do so much with a Shakespeare play. But with a bad script, you are really pushing uphill. And you can see actors trying with a bad script.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel for actors who are kind of stuck there. You want to work and you want to do stuff, and sometimes you don't really have an option but to take a job that's coming up there and hold on and hope for your best.
Oh yeah, because they've got a rent to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very much so, particularly if they haven't worked for a while.
So actors aren't all millionaires? What are you talking about?
I'm sure some are, but and you'd have to be in something really big in America, or some Game of Thrones or whatever. I don't know.
That's why so many good actors head away from here, from Australia.
Oh yeah.
It's it breaks my heart when you see so many, iconic Aussie actors and people in the entertainment industry here in Australia who just have nothing. There was no such thing as residuals back in the day.
No.
Even when I was doing it, you had a little bit come in, but then that was it.
Yeah.
So all of these people are household names, but aren't getting anything from all the work that they did.
No.
So I know that that's changed today, but it doesn't help everybody from years back.
No, and as you get older, the roles shrink. The number of roles shrink anyway. So, you might be in your 30s and 40s and doing very well because that's where the bulk of the roles are, particularly for men. For women, it shrinks very quickly after 40.
Yeah.
And as you get older, there aren't that many roles. And, there's, you can't, not everyone can play King Lear when they're 75 or something or other because it's just so exhausting. So the roles for those, you've got to be still fit and relatively young to play those sort of roles anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the times when there wasn't work, what did you do to keep yourself busy? You threw yourself behind scenes?
Well, like a lot of actors, my wife, or for people who've got a partner, that helps them a lot too because my wife was a school teacher. And so she had a full-time job. That makes all the difference when you've got that constant income coming in. For people who are single and haven't got that partner, that's hard, very hard. And I admire people who've stuck at it, who have done it on their own. And I know a fair few people who have. But it's mighty hard to just be there month after month of no work. The rent's still got to be paid or whatever. But it's what did I do? When about 17 or 18 years ago, a friend of mine was working at the Parliament of WA, and he needed people to help him with the tours there. And so he said, "You come along and we'll work around you. If you go off and do a play or whatever, that's fine. And if you have to do a voiceover, that's fine. We'll work around you. But just come and do the tours," because he said, it's very hard to train people to as presenters. But if you're already an actor, you've already got the skills, the presentation skills if you're an actor. So I did that actually and ended up doing it for 15 years. And ended up being, they asked me, they said, well, this is about 6 or 7 years ago now. They said, well, look, we want to we want to do a TV series about the Parliament of WA. We've got a 13-part series about the role, history and function of the Parliament of Western Australia, and you're writing it and you're presenting it. And I went, okay. But luckily, by then I'd done 5,000 tours of the Parliament, so I knew everything they wanted, so I was able to write it pretty well off the top of my head. And so we wrote a 13-part series. So we did that. And but I haven't been working at the Parliament for about 3 years now. But I did
so what was the series? What was it called?
The Key to Your House.
Okay.
And it's about, what is a parliament? What's the difference between an upper house and a lower house? Why does the leader of the government sit in the lower house? Well, surely he or she should be in the upper house. No, they've got a totally different role. So I'd explain it all on camera of what, all the questions.
I think that's really important because I wouldn't know. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know. And but it is very important that we have got this amazing institution handed down from Westminster, tradition from England, and it is a fascinating thing, but it can be complicated to people who don't know. Yeah. But I found that fascinating, taking the tours around and the people you meet and crazy people sometimes, because Parliament seemed to a bit of a magnet for crazies. And
Have to be.
and well, I'm talking about the public, not just the people in the Parliament, but you know, the people come along and they just I remember one lady, elderly lady, and it was a non-sitting day, and she said, "Well, where are they all?" And I said, "Well, it's not sitting." "I don't care. They should be here. Tell them to come back." I said, "No," as if I had the bring the Parliament back. And she said, "Get them here now. Get them here." I said, "Madam, this is a non-sitting day. They're all at work in their offices." "I don't care. They should all be here. Get them here now." And she would not stop. She said, "No, they should be here. They should be here." I'm going, no. That's not how it works.
People fascinate me. I was about to get on a plane on a Friday night in Brisbane, and they cancelled the flight because the flight was not roadworthy.
The flight?
The flight was not flyworthy or whatever it's called. This lady got up and she went to the front and said, "I don't care. Get me on that plane. I need to go. My daughter's waiting for me in Sydney and I need to be there." And everybody's just looking at her like, yeah, let it go. Let her get on it, but we're not getting on the
We're not getting on it, no.
a plane that's not flight worthy. So, yeah, people are fascinating. Dealing with the public, I find it incredible. And same with audiences. Like you said, you had audiences walk out, The Goat and other ones. I've been in a play. A friend of mine was in a play actually called Sylvia, where she played a dog named Sylvia, and she had to be quite a foul-mouthed dog, and she was swearing at a cat which was meant to be in the audience one night and screaming swear words at a lady. The lady picked up a bag and huffed and puffed and walked out. It was, I've never seen anything like that before. It was really interesting, So, tell me a little bit about the benevolent.
Benevolent fund.
Yeah, can you say that word?
Well, in fact, one of the reasons why we changed it to artist relief is a lot of people couldn't say benevolent and did not know what the word meant. So benevolent means to be good, of course. Yeah. And so the Artist Benevolent Fund started in the 70s, and I've been on the committee since 1978. When it was Actors Equity. Now, of course, it's the MEAA, Media Entertainment Arts Alliance. And I'm not on the MEAA, but though I have been many years, but I'm now on Artist Relief as the Vice Chair. And we provide, particularly during COVID, help for people in the entertainment industry in distress. Like we've given out, just in WA, thousands and thousands of dollars in grocery voucher cards to people who just cannot pay for food. So particularly during COVID, there were people who were really in distress.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we do.
Well, their income is being on the stage, and when you can't do that when you're locked in your lounge room.
Well, not only that, but there were certain students who were from foreign countries who were from poor families, and they couldn't get any dole here, they couldn't get any support here. They couldn't work because most of them would work in hospitality and all the pubs were shut and all that sort of thing. They were really struggling, and we gave a lot of money to musicians and various people who were just in need of just food.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's you don't really think about the big picture, and I know there's the same facilities and things available in other states.
Every state has it. Yeah. It's throughout. It has been since Actors Equity, and the Musicians Union, of course, has the same as well. And they have been given, I think someone told me it was something like $250,000 at least has been given to people just in the entertainment industry, just to keep them going. Maybe much more than that now. I know here in WA we've given thousands and thousands of dollars.
It's something that's certainly very much needed and appreciated. I think it's a wonderful job that you do. So thank you for that.
Yes, well, it's necessary, and we continue doing it. But also the Artist Benevolent, the Artist Relief, I should call it, have the awards night every year, and we to give awards to all the performances of whatever, the plays and musicals and opera, dance every year. And we do that at the Heath Ledger Theatre, or have been for the last few years. And I've been doing the valets, as in saying farewell to all the people who've passed. And that's another function we do, is the awards nights.
Yeah. Well, there's more and more that are going.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of people find the valets section of the awards night interesting because they hadn't realised, if they're, say, in their teens or 20s or whatever, they actually like to be reminded or been made aware of the fact that it hasn't started with them. It started many, many years ago. There was one lady, we did the valets last year, and Molly Worsnop, who died aged 102, and her first performance on His Majesty's stage was in 1932. And you think, wow, and people were going, yeah, there's longevity, there's a history here, and that people love hearing the history.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to Amanda, my wife, about you and I working together, because we work together on Clowning Around. And how it was one of the most stressful days of my life. So
that day? Yeah,
not because of you, by the way. Just want to clear that up. But I had to. It was a scene where I decided I wasn't going to clown anymore because a kid wanted to be a clown, and I ended up working in my dad's mechanic shop. And you were a customer who came in with your car, and I had to do a scene. George Whaley, the director, made me juggle real wrenches, over the bonnet of a Mercedes.
Oh.
Now, I was an actor. I wasn't a clown. I had a double to do a lot of the stuff when I was in makeup, but I wasn't in makeup for that scene, and I had to juggle. And I pleaded with him not to do it, and he said, no, it's all insured. You won't drop the wrenches. And I was petrified, and I didn't drop the wrenches. So he was right, but yeah, I remember how worked up I was about that day. So many crazy things I did on that show, but yeah, and
that was the day that I was filming.
That was the day you were there, and you were saying earlier on, it made me think about it again, that it was filmed in 2J, and you had to get back to Perth because you were doing a show.
I was doing Doll's House, yes, with Greta Scacchi.
Oh, okay. Well, you were probably running late because I was worried about juggling those things. So I just thought I'd bring that full circle and explain to you why that was a long day.
Yeah, well, I probably had to leave because it's about an hour and a half to get from 2J to Subiaco.
Yeah.
And yes, I had to be there the show was 7:30, I think, so I probably had to be there at 5 to 7. And so, we had to have left before filming finished.
Yeah, but you did choose Greta Scacchi over me.
I did, yeah.
I was putting that on the table.
Yes, she was the star of that show, I can tell you. Funny thing, years ago, I met up with a guy I'd been to school with. I'd been to school with him for many years. Like, we were at school together for 8 years or something. So I knew him quite well. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, "Hey, Loney, you still an actor? You still doing your theatre business?" I said, yeah. And he said, "Look, I saw this play years ago with Greta Scacchi." He said, "Have you ever heard of her?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, she was beautiful." I said, "What was the show?" He said, "Oh, I can't remember." I said, "Was it a Doll's House?" He said, Yeah, that's it." I said, "Oh, do you remember the bloke who was standing next to her all night long?" "No, that was me." He hadn't even noticed. He'd been at school with me for 8 years or something or other. Hadn't even noticed that I was on stage.
Wow.
That was the power of Greta. There you are.
Wow. I had an old auntie. She was in her 90s. And I think in her 80s she decided she'd travel the world on her own. Mm. So she did. And then she decided she wanted to act. Oh. So she was an extra in a whole lot of shows. And I remember her ringing Mum and saying, she did a movie yesterday with Gary McDonald's daughter was in it. And Mum said, and so was Clay. And I didn't know that she was there, and she didn't know that I was there, but I was working with her every day. So, but Auntie Muriel, her name was, and she ended up doing quite a lot of extra work in up to her 90s. Yeah. She was incredible. Oh, yes. So yeah, it's easy to be overlooked.
Well, one thing in England, of course, there are people who make their living as an extra.
Yeah.
And on Coronation Street, there were people who'd been in it for years.
Yeah.
And they were always made sure they were up the back, so they were used the next day.
Yeah.
Because if you're featured, of course, they can't use you for another scene or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. They don't want to see the same people in the background.
But these people were so professional.
Yeah.
They made their living out of it.
Yeah, and it's good money. Good money. If you can get regular work, it's great to have regular work. There's not many actors that have regular work.
No. And with the contraction of theatre right around the world, it's not just Perth or Sydney or Melbourne, it's everywhere in the world. There's fewer and fewer jobs, and years ago we thought that things would only get better and there'd be more and more work, but it hasn't worked out that way. For theatre, it has contracted. There's talk in Perth now of a film industry taking off because of the new studio.
New studios. Whereabouts are they being built?
In Malaga.
Okay.
And they've been talking about it since I started in the 70s. So the fact that it's under construction now is fabulous news. So good. I'm really pleased.
Yeah.
I hope it does bring a lot of work here, because we had for years such a strong crew here. They were fabulous and so, just really good. But for a lot of them, they've had to leave for whatever reason. But if they can get consistent work through film and TV and whatever, then great, then it'll be brilliant.
I've been really lucky. Most of the people I've ever worked with in the entertainment industry have been wonderful and really supportive. The roles that I had, I was really lucky with the roles that I had, and I was really lucky with the people that I worked with. But I have seen a lot of egos over the years. One of the things that sticks in my mind is Ernie Dingo, working with Ernie and how comfortable he was in being Ernie Dingo. I've never known anybody who's more comfortable in celebrity and more of a lovely person than Ernie. And I remember him going up to, he'd just talk to anybody, but he'd go up and talk to extras one day, like we all would, but he'd go up and one day these girls kind of looked at him and said, "Why are you talking to us?" And he said, "Aren't I allowed to?" And they said, "No, but the actors have their table over there and we're over here and we're told not to talk to you and all this sort of stuff." And, Ernie's saying, "You can talk to me whenever you want. If I don't want to talk to you, I won't talk to you. I don't care who you are or whatever." But yeah, that really made me sad that day.
Yeah.
And have you come across any egos? You don't need to say names.
Well, in fact, I could mention an ego, even though he was a fabulous actor. But Jeremy Brett in the when we did Sherlock Holmes, I think it was 1984, and we had 2 weeks up in I think I mentioned this earlier, up in the Lake District, and we were staying in this pub in a place called Kirby Lonsdale, I think it was, and lovely old pub, and everyone was staying there. And after dinner at night, there was someone on a piano, and you were required to sing, and so my turn came to sing. And I'll have to preface this by saying that Jeremy played Freddie Eynsford Hill in the original Audrey Hepburn movie of My Fair Lady.
Oh, okay.
And his song in it was, "I have often walked down the street before, on the street where you live." And stupid here gets up to sing, when it was my turn, "The street where you live," of course. And I started, and Jeremy goes, "Stop right now." I said, "Oh God, what have I done?" "That is my song." And I said, whoever I was sitting next to, I said, "What have I done?" He said, "He sang that in the movie," and I think he was nominated for an award for it, in My Fair Lady. And I went, "What he?" Oh, so
wow.
you never know when you're going to tread on someone's ego. So I wasn't allowed to sing. He said, so he sang it. Of course, he was a wonderful singer, and far better than I could have. But no, that was an ego. But he was brilliant. He was an eccentric, but he was. I don't know whether you've ever seen that series. He was the best Sherlock Holmes.
I'll have to have a look.
Superb, absolutely superb.
It's such a wonderful industry where you get to brush up and get to know these amazing people. We had in clowning over here, we had Van Johnson, the old American actor. Yeah. I wish I could have speak to him now. It would be the stories that he had. And I was 17. I didn't care about his stories, but yeah, when you meet people like Ronnie Corbett and people like that, you just think, wow, the stories that they've got.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine, Abigail, we spoke about her earlier on. She was friends with Benny Hill.
Really?
And she used to talk about Benny and how lovely he was, and wow, you know, you'd love to be able to grab someone like Benny Hill and ask them questions. And yeah.
But also those old stars, say the Hollywood stars, I'm sure people have done oral histories with them. I hope they have anyway.
Oh, they must.
Yeah,
they
because they would have stories. But, you know, anyone who's worked in theatre especially, or film, doesn't matter, you know, there are so many stories out there because it's often the things that went wrong.
Yeah.
And in theatre, it's always the things that went wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I remember doing a pantomime here, and someone, a cleaner. This is in the middle of a pantomime, and I was playing one of the ugly sisters in Cinderella, and a cleaner had, I don't know why, had locked the dressing room doors, and I had a quick change. And I couldn't get changed. And my cue was coming up and up and up. And I was going backstage saying, someone, and you know, I was swearing my head off, I've got to say, find a key. Someone find a key. And, you know, when you've got to be on stage and you know there's going to be silence. Yeah. Because you're not there and no one knows it's because someone's locked the dressing room door.
So what happened?
Oh, someone found someone, and they had to fill in something or other, and but I made it on stage, and of course my wig fell off the minute I got on stage because it wasn't on properly, but I had to put on stockings, and I had a full change, so it's all those sorts of things that they are always the things that you remember most, things that go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I played Watson in a Sherlock play, but it was a farce. It was a Ken Ludwig farce. And Watson was the character who was all the way through the play, and there were 3 or 4 other actors who played 37 roles. Wow. So they had changes like you wouldn't believe. Where Watson, there was one scene where I had to take my hat off and then put my hat back on. And that was my change. That was all I had to do. Yeah, so I wasn't very well liked in that series, in that play.
That's all you had to do.
But yeah, no, I love live theatre. I love the instant response you get from an audience, the oohs, the ahs, the silence. Yeah. You can get a silence in a theatre. There's nothing better. Yeah,
I remember doing musical Noel and Gertie about Noel Coward and Gertrude Lawrence. I was playing Noel Coward. And this was at the F.U. Crump Theatre in the old Brisbane Hotel in Perth about 20-odd years ago. And there was a lady I knew, because she was a friend of my mother-in-law, sitting in the front row, and she looked thunderous throughout the whole show. And I thought, oh, my God, what have I done? Thunder. She just did not smile. She just sat there looking. And she wrote me a letter afterwards, saying it was one of the best nights she'd ever had in the theatre. And she said, I was just looking at you, enjoying it so much. I thought, well, you could have bloody smiled and let me know.
You could have told your face.
Loosen up. But, so you never know what an audience is thinking. Yeah. Because, you know, you think that they're not enjoying it or they're loving it, then they come backstage and say, oh, that was all right. But, you know, there was, because it's live. Yeah. It is, you know, and every night is different, no matter what. Absolutely. And it's funny the things you think about when you're up there. Like all of a sudden, sometimes your brain can be completely somewhere else and you're thinking about someone else, or you catch sight of somebody. Usually I don't see faces in the audience, but sometimes you do, and you hone in on one particular person. There was one person who was asleep in the front row of one of the shows that I did, an elderly lady. And you know, it was just really distracting to know that she was there. Well, another Noel Coward show was called Cowardy Custard I did at the F.U. Crump. we had to finish just before the interval with the song "Why Must the Show Go On?" Why must the show go on? And there were 4 of us on stage, and we all had a line. Then the next one would sing, the next one would sing, and so one after the other, we were all singing these various lines. But there was an elderly lady in the front row who'd fallen asleep, and her teeth had fallen out of her mouth and were resting on her chin. And there's dentures sitting there, and she was with her head back, mouth open, with her dentures just sitting on her chin, and I couldn't get a word out. I stopped singing because I was laughing so much, but I was the only one who'd seen it. So when it came to my bit, I couldn't. And they would look. The other cast would look at me and say, "Why aren't you singing your bit?" And one by one, they all saw it, except for one.
Oh no!
And she was the only one singing. So there was silence, silence, silence. She'd sing. Silence, 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 she'd sing. And she was looking at us thinking, why am I the only one singing? But she still didn't get it right. And then thankfully the curtain came down and we finished the interval. Yeah. But we all ran off stage and collapsed in the corridor because we had all seen this old lady with her teeth sitting on her chin. It was, sometimes you just cannot carry on.
And you've you obviously worked with Gilly Perryman and
well,
Kevin
I remember
Johnston.
the 100th anniversary of His Majesty's Theatre in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Jill was the narrator of the evening, so she held it all together, and Amanda Muggleton was there to do bits. It was all a compilation of everyone who'd done over the 100 years of His Majesty's, and I was playing various characters, and Bill Kerr was in it as well. And I remember Bill, he had to read, because his memory wasn't great, and he had to read his what he had to do. It was in a folder, and he lost it, the folder.
Oh, no.
And it was black, and of course we were backstage.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I don't know my lines, because I have to read them. And he said, I can't do it without this folder. And we were running around. We found it just before we had to go on. And I actually found it. He'd put it down somewhere and he'd forgotten where he'd put it. And he went on, and it was perfect, of course. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. You didn't know he was reading. It was as if he'd learnt it. And who else? Kevin Johnston was in that too, and Jill's husband. It was a great, really lovely concert, all brought together by John Milson. But he really produced this great concert for His Majesty's 100th anniversary.
100 years, it would have been an amazing celebration.
It was.
Oh, well, look, thank you so much for catching up today. I'm so happy that we got to meet again.
Thank you for the privilege.
Yeah, no, I've always wanted to catch up over the years. Social media is a wonderful thing where you can stalk people, and I know, we've kind of been connected for a few years on there. But yeah, thank you so much for having a chat. It's been really, really exciting for me to be here.
Thank you. It's great to have you back in the West.
Michael Loney, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yarn About You is a Centre Stage creative production. Follow us on Facebook by searching Yarn About You, or visit yarnaboutyou.com.au for more information about the podcast and our guests.